This is David Goldie, the World Wrestling Grand Prix Champion, and you're listening to the Alliance Guys Podcast.
This is Lois Brain here, and I'm advising you to do yourself a favor and watch the Alliance Guys Podcast.
The Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Salliance. That's me.
Building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys Podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys Podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. That's your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jake Allen. Each and every Thursday, we come to you, that hashtag NWA fan, to talk all things NWA. I do not come alone. No, I bring friends. That doesn't sound appropriate. Anyways, Jaden, welcome to the show, pal. How are you doing today?
You're lucky I have multiple personalities because that's where the friends come in handy.
Well, it looks like it's gonna be a very fast show tonight because it looks like it's just gonna be the two of us.
Yes, well, I'll make sure to babble on and on and on and on and on and on and on for a while.
DK will not be joining us this evening, so we apologize in advance.
He's too busy yelling at clouds.
Well, the clouds aren't going to yell at themselves, so it's been a very a weird week in pro wrestling, and I say that quite a bit, and it seems like every time I say it, it's true. But you and I were at the Crockett Cup. We checked it out live, and this week was another series of matches from the Crockett Cup. Interestingly enough, Jaden, there was no Natty Neidhart match.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. They're just doing it as in the order that they're recording it, it seems like.
There's been legitimately no change in the direction of how they recorded it. I know this because you and I were there, and I took photos, and I like to include some of the videos that I captured while we were at the event to play while we're talking about the matches, and it's literally verbatim. There's no change in order. Nothing has been deterred. It's exactly the same wrestling show that we were watching on May the 17th. Is exactly the show that folks are watching now on Roku on August 14th.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to beat a dead horse or a dead pumpkin, smash a dead pumpkin. But sure. It really should not have been that way. If I would have started off with I would have edited it so everything makes the most possible bang, the biggest impact. Yeah. And I think that's one of NWA's biggest fault is they do not know how to capitalize on anything that can create some kind of buzz for themselves. And when they even get it, they seem to falter at it tremendously. When it's some people fall in shit and come out smelling like roses. They often fall in roses and come out smelling like shit.
Well, and that's the other thing about it too, Jaden. And I don't know who I need to talk to, what strongly worded letter I need to write, but again, you and I said this the night of the event, that Natty match should have been one of the first matches released, and we're in week 3, and it's like they still haven't released that match on Roku. And generally speaking, if you look at the trajectory right now of Natty Neidhart, she's not just wrestling in WWE matches. She was just at AAA, or actually she'll be at AAA this weekend as part of the AAA Mania. I'm probably not saying it right. AAA Mania.
Triple Mania, in case you're wondering.
isn't it like they're a AAA in there? Isn't it AAA Mania?
No, it's Triple Mania.
All right, Triple Mania this weekend. Natty Neihart will be in the ring with Lady Flamer, somebody I've seen in person multiple times. And the La Reina del Rey Championship will be on the line. Natty's also just a few weeks ago at SummerSlam competed in another GCW event, the Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. She stepped in the ring with Masha Slamovich. She's literally, Natty Neihart is everywhere and making these appearances all over the world of pro wrestling. If you were the NWA and you were to say, hey, we've got Natty Neihart too, optically, it looks like you're part of the in crowd. Optically, it looks like you are a bigger deal than you probably are. And if you're going on Roku Sports with a WWE superstar, I really feel like that's a needle mover. That's going to get people to pay attention.
Yeah, look, why to go to GCW to get Natty Neihart when you got Natty Neihart at home?
This is true.
But yeah, that's again, I will go on when we talk about things, about upcoming subjects. I will go on and talk about how I think the NWA needs to capitalize and start making. There's one thing about, jumping on the biggest trends and the flavors of the week, but there's also ways you really should be out there trying to create some kind of buzz for yourself. And there's opportunities out there that they're just honestly not taking advantage of at all.
Do you think that's by design?
No, I think it's incompetence. Do you want me to be honest? No, I don't. I think it's either lack of foresight or arrogance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be arrogance just as much as it could be ignorance, because I would imagine someone's got to be in Billy's ear saying, hey, boss, we've got potentially the biggest match in the history of the Lightning One era. This might even be a bigger deal than Nick Aldis versus Cody Rhodes for the 10 pounds of gold at All In. This is a legit WWE superstar, future Hall of Famer, probably first ballot Hall of Fame when she retires. She will probably be in the Hall of Fame the following year. And I know that's saying a lot about Natty Neihart, and maybe she doesn't have the accolades to back it up, but she does have the legacy to kind of back that up. I just feel like this is such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and I agree. And there's other things they could be doing too with this upcoming 77, 78, what is it? 70 something? 77. They could capitalize on a lot of things to really, and again, part of it's also just the fact that they wait so long to get that stuff out there. And that also has a lot to do with the lack of momentum and things they need to do. But there are things they should be doing right now. And again, we'll get into when we talk about something that's on that list a little bit later after we talk about POWERRR.
Have you been watching Power on Roku?
I didn't watch this week, honestly, until right now. I think I forgot. I was watching most of the other time. I know the first week I stopped after a couple of matches because Billy Corgan's commentary annoyed me.
Understandably so.
And I was less annoyed by it the second week, even though it wasn't, it was okay. It was a lot more doable. The skits were annoying, but I fast forwarded through them and skipped them anyway. But I was there, so I could still comment on things. I could not comment on the commentary, but I will probably just check it up a little bit later if I remember and I'm bored.
Well, if you need help falling asleep too.
No, honestly, I was there, so I can only say about maybe a handful of matches I wasn't a fan of, one of which I wasn't even going to watch. I was out getting a Crockett Cup cookie.
A Crockett Cup cookie, which was delicious, by the way.
Yes. Foxy Viner. We need to get him on the show, by the way. You should message him.
I probably will.
Maybe, and say we'd like to do it, but we'd like some cookies as compensation.
Hey, you can come on, but make sure you have your sweetie send us some sweeties.
Yes, that actually might be. Next thing you know, we're getting Me Too'd with the rest of like Joey Ryan and the rest of the garbage people out there. But
well, isn't that like payola too? Like you're not supposed to get paid to have people guest on your show. Something about that.
Yeah, I know that is. There's a lot of people that do it. Like I know also wrestlers are try charging for it too.
that has been always very peculiar to me. And speaking of Joey Ryan, one time I asked him, "Hey, man, well, this was in the infancy of the podcast, and he had already done an interview with me. And I was like, hey, man, I would really like to have you come on the podcast." And he says, what's my take or something like that. And I go, what do you mean? Like, and this was J Cal long before J Cal had dollar bills in his pocket. And what do you mean? What do you mean, Joey? Like, what are you asking for a booking fee to do a podcast? And like, it was at that moment I knew he was a piece of shit.
Okay.
So this week's Power, similarly to last week's, featured lots of tag team wrestling. If you're a fan of tag team wrestling, the last few episodes of Power have been chef's kiss for you because we've got a lot of tag team wrestling. Oddly enough, and I don't know if I would have had this match be the opening match for this week's Power, but the show kicked off with the Island Twins, formerly known as the Tungan Twins from WoW, make their debut on Power and challenge for the NWA Women's World Tag Team titles, currently held by Valentina Rossi and Tiffany Nieves, managed by Miss Star, known as TVMA, TV's most attractive. You were there live, Jaden. First thoughts on TVMA and the Island Twins?
I've seen Nieves for a while. It was my first time seeing Rossi and the Tongan Twins, or the Tongan Twins, or whatever they're called, but the Island Girls.
Island Twins.
Yeah. And I actually very much like this match. Again, this is another thing, in my opinion, that's editing would have made better. I think if they were going to put this match on, it either needed to be a main event in itself or a secondary main event to a really big match. Like, this would have been good if the first night was Natalya as the main event, and they might have thrown in a match with EC3 or something like that, or maybe, and then the Battle Royal. That way, that there's something going on. And then I would have done the NWA Championship and a couple things. I would have done Hammerstone versus Thrillbilly on this one, and I would have done the Tongan Twins or the Island Girls versus the TVMA as a secondary main event on this one to really push it. One of the things I also disagree with is there was 3 tag matches on this card. That's too much. I love tag team wrestling. I could watch a lot of tag team wrestling, but and a television show which is only 3 matches and then about an hour long, less than, it's too much tag team. It after a while, it's kind of like when the AWA did Rage in a Cage, where every match was in a cage, and by the time it was done, you just really didn't want to see any more cage matches. It's a similar thing. It's just it dilutes the importance of these tag team matches when you have 3 of them and nothing to break it up.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because it kind of gets monotonous, having that same flavor over and over again. Yes, these were very different teams. Yes, these were all 3 very different matches. But you're right. Something to break up the monotony might have been a good idea. And having you making excellent points tonight, Jaden. Not that you don't normally make excellent points, but putting the women's tag team match in between 2 single matches, perhaps, like, I don't know. You said Silas and Hammerstone, but maybe put the women's tag team match between Hammerstone and Silas, and maybe the bull chain match between Legursky and Bradley. That might have been a better way to do it.
There's more tag team matches, so you have to do at least 2 because the way that it's just formatted. Because there's the way it was. You have to do so many tag matches. But they really did need to break up. You could have done 2 and then a singles main event with the guy who you're trying to push and the guy who has some name value. So that way you have a championship match and some star power and some people may not know is a star yet power in that match, so they can really see something special and build into it and have a reason for people to stay tuned and care about it and watch. I have no problem with done right. Putting the championship match first. People forget that on the Saturday night's main event, the WWF title was usually the first match. And a lot of times there were other things too, like there have been instances where they start the program on worldwide or something like that with a world title match, and then they have a couple standby matches at the end, just to, something to happen on and some angles and some interviews and stuff like that at the end.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with starting with a championship match, but I don't think this match would have been the one I would have used to grab the attention. Even though I like the match itself, it needed a hot tag team opener to really catch somebody onto that, and then maybe go on with the women's match, and then with the match that I very, very, very much enjoyed, and I can't wait to see.
Well, let me show the clip. Being there live, me and El Hijo de what do we call you, Milk Mascaras? We were there ringside. We got great seats again, thanks to Timmy Alliance Gold. Actually, I guess he's Alliance North now. He really took care of us for the show. But without any further ado, here's a clip. Interestingly enough, just looking at Valentina Rossi's career prior to joining the NWA. Now, she had previously once wrestled against Camille at CCW for the NWA Women's World Championship. She's also had appearances teaming with Harley Cameron at WrestlePro. She's worked for AEW. She went by the name Adriana Gambino in the Women of Wrestling. She's actually part of the alliance over with the Women of Wrestling, partnered with our friend Ruby Reyes, who wrestles as Reina Del Rey out in WoW. Adriana Gambino, Valentina Rossi, whatever you want to call her, she never wrestled a match before with the Tongan twins, which I find kind of interesting. So this match wasn't booked because she had familiarity with the girls. This was just a match that they booked to use to have these ladies have an opportunity to showcase their goods for the NWA. No word yet if they'll be back. This is the National Wrestling Alliance. There are a lack of NWA women tag teams. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them back, but at the same time, nothing currently shows that they will be returning to the NWA. It kind of feels like a one-off. Jaden, what do you think? Was that a one-off for them?
I don't know if it's necessarily a one-off. There's rumors are that Billy wants a women's cup of sorts. We were joking around with different various names on it. He wanted to call it the Mullah Cup, but
that was out of context, sir.
They were impressive. I like them, and they have a slight little name value because people know them because of WoW, at least the wrestlers themselves. And there was a little controversy too, which apparently NWA loves controversy going back to the Bruce Stark days. But I wouldn't mind seeing them back. I think they were impressive. I do like the way they look, their style. They were definitely green. People also say there's no women's tag teams. People often forget, because of things like the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express and the Fantastics and the Rock and Roll Express, that traditionally the NWA tag teams were more makeshift than they were bookend tag teams. That was more of a modern concept, a modern construct of the 1980s. While there were bookend tag teams, there was a lot of makeshift and singles wrestlers becoming tag teams in the NWA. Some of the biggest tag teams out there were Don Kernodle and Sergeant Slaughter, or Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, or Don Morocco and Wahoo McDaniels. They were not necessarily Raging Bull Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude, Raging Bull Manny Fernandez and Dusty Rhodes, but they weren't necessarily, actual tag teams, bookend style tag teams. That was a newer concept and not very popular with Jim Crockett Promotions, which a lot of people consider the NWA. The lineage to their titles, they often consider that the lineage to to the NWA World Tag Team titles. In reality, the modern NWA World Tag Team titles were started with Doc and Gordy, which again weren't necessarily a bookend tag team. They were two individuals. So even with the women, it's not out of the realm of NWA hierarchy and history and tradition to have makeshift tag teams be tag team champions and tag team contenders. They have some good wrestlers on their roster, and they have brought in others. I like, though, the fact that Rossi and Nieves look like a tag team, look like a bookend tag team, and if they can still get challengers that aren't, I wouldn't be as objective as others are. But it's nice, I think, as the champions to have that look, that special, like they're a team and not just two individuals thrown together.
Interestingly enough, when you look at the track record for Tiffany Nieves over the last few months since the Crockett Cup, where she's been wrestling, in most places she's been wrestling in NWA promotions. She's wrestled for Exodus Pro twice. She's wrestled for Dog Pound Championship Wrestling twice. She did the Tampa TV tapings. Conversely, our girl Valentina Rossi, after the title defense at the Crockett Cup, or the title victory at the Crockett Cup, title defense at the Crockett Cup, they defended the tag titles one more time for the Tampa television tapings, and she's been in Japan for like the last 2 weeks wrestling for Marvelous, not to be confused with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiator Standout Marvelous, but what I guess is a mostly women's wrestling promotion in Japan called Marvelous, where I'm going to butcher some names here, so get ready to laugh, Jaden, but she teamed up with Mio Momono, and they defeated Isuki Aoki and Sora Iyame. You're not laughing. I think I might have been pretty close.
No, honestly, I don't know enough about them. If I looked at how they're said, I might be able to get more of a pronunciation of it, because I know a lot of times syllables in Japanese names are completely different, or isolated syllables, and how you say them and the pronunciation on them makes a difference.
Yeah.
But you also, it didn't sound like you added any unnecessary letters, which you like to do.
Yeah, no unnecessary letters. I think I did a pretty good job with that. And then she had one more match over there. Now Sean Mega points out Tiffany's a regular in Reality Wrestling. That promotion is obviously connected to the WWE through the ID program and from Booker T. So, I mean, that's not to say that Tiffany Nieves is leaving the NWA or headed anywhere else. It just, as an incidental note, that's you could see her there as well. And then conversely, Double D is giving me shit about the way I say Asuka.
Yeah, you say Asuka.
I used to say Asuka. Look, man, if you don't know, you don't know. Come on, man. I don't know. What do you want from me?
It's Asuka, not Asuka too. But to go back to Tiffany Nieves too, she also had a stint in OVW and was often featured on their television. And I think she might have even been part of the Wrestlers documentary too. So Nieves, again, I wouldn't necessarily say she's the biggest star in the NWA, but some people might recognize her or may recognize the face of the name.
Yeah.
So I think that's also helps. Another reason I think she could have been a tag team match as a semi-main event or something like that to build toward. If they either would have shot it like it was proper or edited it to make it a proper production to maximize the results and the eyeballs on the NWA.
The other thing I wanted to point out too is that Tiffany Nieves did recently lose her Exodus Pro Championship. She's no longer Tiffany Tree Belts, as she's still the Women's Television Champion. She's still the NWA Women's Tag Team Champion, but she is no longer the Exodus Pro Women's Champion. Marty Bell took that title off of her this past weekend at the Exodus Pro event that was on the NWA YouTube channel. So
real quick, that's also a potential something that if the NWA paid attention to, they could maybe capitalize on, because that means Allison Danger could, former partner of Marty Bell, former NWA Women's Tag Team Champion, a makeshift
Allison K.
Allison K. They could possibly be a future opponent for TVMA. And yes, by the way, they're still a makeshift tag team.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Now going back to the Crockett Cup, and you touched on it earlier. Man, did they look good together though? Like, this I think might have been the second time we've seen them wrestle as a team. Of course, they won the tag titles their first outing, but their gear mostly matched. Their appearance was very similar. The mannerisms, the psychology in the ring, the way that they acted, it was very. They had some chemistry, right? I'm not alone in thinking that, am I?
No, not at all. They worked very well together. There was some rapport and chemistry between them, and I like that a lot. And again, somebody who, again, I was talking about Allison Kay and Marty Bell as being a makeshift tag team. I think that could be a match that could be built for the future. Capitalize on the fact that Bell took one of her 3 belts away and use that to grab attention, assuming there is no bad blood.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I assume Marty's still working for Exodus Pro, and I believe either her significant other, boyfriend, husband, I'm not sure, and I don't want to assume too much, but Lord Crew also works for Exodus Pro, and that's Marty's main squeeze. So theoretically, we could see Marty Bell return to the NWA main roster. But I don't think it'll be at 77, as they've already announced that the television title will be on the line. But so far, we haven't heard anything about the women's tag team titles. So I won't be holding my breath for that one.
And there is the disadvantage. If they're going to have 2 belts, they should wrestle twice.
I agree. But then also keep in mind, too, that the NWA, this is the anniversary show. They should throw everything that they have at this show. It should be the biggest show of the year. It should dwarf the Crockett Cup, because this is the perennial show that has, at least for the last 25 years, has been the most important event that the NWA produces year in and year out. So, I mean, I agree. I think this should be, balls to the walls, book everybody, book every title, bring in some of the territory guys, make it a 2-day event. But clearly that's not on tap for this year. But we'll get more to 77 as we have the matches that have been announced. We'll talk about those momentarily. So let's go to the second match.
What was the first?
The twins.
That was the first? I thought it was.
Yeah,
that did open. That's right. That did open. Never mind.
That was the opening match. And of course, the tag team of Tiffany Nieves and Valentina Rossi took the victory. Solid tag team work. I want to see more. I'm sold on them as a tag team. I want to see this as a perennial tag team in the NWA, until one of them gets called up somewhere else. Let's push these girls. Let's put some direct competition to them. If that means bringing in, like you said, Allison Kay, Marty Bell, so be it. Bring back the Bluebird. What were they called? The birds. What were the birds called? I forgot now.
Thunderbirds.
The Thunderbirds. Maybe that's what they're called.
I forget.
There were 2 females that wrestled from Texas, and they were called like the Thunderbirds or Running Birds or something like that. Chad, if you can remember, throw it out to me. Bring in some better tag teams, and depending on the outcome of 77, maybe the Page sisters become focus more on tag team after that. I don't know, but Money Birds. Thank you, Sean Mega. I knew someone would get it.
Dr. Zirconium real quick says to tell you to change your goal now, since your goal got hit, to add a new goal on your TikTok.
Someone, I don't know how to change it right now.
You actually just click on it, and it'll give you the option now that you hit it to change it to something new, and then you choose something else to it too.
All right. Well,
as you hit your goals, this encourages people to add more goals to you, and to help. And also, anybody who might be listening, Dr. Zirconium tells me to start having you tap the heart on the screen, because it makes a big difference in the participation.
Wow, you're right. It does. I see it already. Thank you, sir. All All right, and now getting back to this year's Crockett Cup again, or back to the women tag team champions. Actually, I think greater competition would be good, and of course, Renegade Twins are no longer an option. They're under AEW ROH deal. Of course, we can't get Ren Sinclair back while she's working for the WWE, but Misa Kate had a ton of talent. I don't know why they don't bring her back. But I guess that's neither here nor there. Let's get to the next match. And real quick, Sean Mega says, I would like to see a crossover with WoW. I think the NWA needs more baby faces in the women's division. Well, and if Billy Corgan really wanted to do an all-women's Crockett Cup, I mean, there's your answer right there. You take 2 or 3 teams from the NWA, which you could figure it out. Again, the Page sisters, the TVMA, and perhaps maybe another makeshift team that you could find with some talent on the roster, like La Rosa Negra or Natalia Markova or something along those lines. And then there's a whole slew of talent available on the other brands of women of wrestling that you could make something of a Crockett Cup featuring WoW and NWA talent. And I think it would be pretty interesting if they did do that, because then you'd have an opportunity to really kind of bridge that umbrella, that maybe make it a live event for Wrestling Central, maybe, make it a cup, make it a trophy that, for generations to come, that contestants from WoW would challenge for and contestants from the NWA could challenge for as this partnership continues to grow on Roku.
Yeah. And with women wrestling, it's not as hot as it was for a while, but it is still very a growing part of the business that I think is underutilized, because the more that women start becoming wrestling fans and they have something to latch onto, that's an opportunity for more and more fans to grow into the sport and to professional wrestling, kind of like the WNHL is growing hugely. The women participation in hockey, in or the women's, whatever it is, whatever the women's hockey thing is, WLPA or whatever it is, HPA, or I don't even know. But either way, it's helped growing the women participation in hockey, and it's going to be great for the professional wrestling too if there are more women, because now they become more fans. They have something to latch onto. They have somebody to idolize and something to gear toward. And a lot of people say, well, there's not a lot of great women professional wrestlers. That's the problem right now. The reason is there's so many years with guys dominating professional wrestling that you can pick and choose and cherry pick the great talent. If they want to be great women wrestlers, they want to grow in that way, they has to increase their overall numbers, so then they can start picking out great wrestling talent, and great wrestling talent can sharpen themselves and become even better.
Well, and as you're talking, that made me think of the point in time in history when Lita was kind of like a jewel amongst divas back in the day. Lita could actually wrestle a pretty good match, and she inspired AJ Lee. And AJ Lee inspired talents like Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez to get into the sport of pro wrestling. So it's like, you're right. If there's like an evolution of, more talented women's wrestlers, there will be more younger fans looking up to these talented wrestlers and then wanting to emulate them down the road. Natty Neidhart had inspired a generation of wrestling fans. Lita and Trish inspired a generation of wrestling fans. And right now, I mean, in the WWE, there's a lot of talented women wrestlers. In AEW, they have very many talented women wrestlers. And even when Billy Corgan was on commentary, and like 90% of what he says, I just in through one ear, out the other. But he had said something that was pretty interesting. He said that the equity in pro wrestling is changing, that at some point there will be more women wrestling than there will be men wrestling. And there is probably some truth to that. And I think we might see the sport change over time. So all that to say, yes, for the Crockett Cup and everything else, if Billy wants to put a higher focus on women's wrestling, I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
No, and I do agree. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think there does need to be, what is it? 51% of the United States population is women.
Yeah.
That's a lot of untapped potential marketing right there. And there's where I think the NWA really maybe can make inroads, is to maybe get some more women wrestling fans. And one thing about women wrestling, if women start showing up, especially, I hate this, sounds messed up, but if attractive women especially start showing up at wrestling events, there's going to be more wrestling males to show up too. It's always been that way. It is something that continually happens in the wrestling business.
Well, and that aside, like, I do believe there are more women wrestling fans than I've ever seen before. Like you're on TikTok. Well, maybe you're not, but Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators are on TikTok. And if you go and jump in some of these ladies' lives, like there's women talking about pro wrestling and not like, oh, he's cute, I like him. Like they give you some in-depth analysis on what's happening in the ring. You're like, hey, you're kind of smart. You know what you're talking about. I feel like there is a change in the person who is a wrestling fan. And I think that's great. And again, I hope that means that there will be wrestling events where more people are showering and using deodorant. And, Double D has a good point. He says Natty should leave the WWE and do this Natty across the Indies. Let me counter offer you, Devin Dowling. Let me suggest this. She stays in the WWE. She still is a semi-active wrestler for the WWE, but they give her a paycheck and a title called Talent Scout. And then she goes and wrestles all across the Indies and tries to find those zirconium in the rough, those diamonds in the rough that need an opportunity to shine. And she could say, oh, yeah, this wrestler here has definitely got something. We should bring them into NXT. This talent right here, don't waste your time. Let them go sign with AEW, whatever it is, But I definitely feel like Natty should be sharing a responsibility with finding the next big thing in women's wrestling.
And that's not a bad thing. Why does it even have to be women wrestling? Natty knows enough that she can go around and say, like, all right, you know what? This guy's not as good as my Uncle Brett, who, by the way, is my uncle, by the way. And my father is also Jim Neidhart. But
well, I used to tell TJ all the time that Bret Hart was my uncle. Sorry.
Actually, if you told Natty anything, you would have told her Greg Valentine was your uncle.
He was for a minute.
I never knew Kevin Owens and Greg Valentine were related.
I can't make you believe that I'm not Kevin Owens, but I can make you believe that Kevin Owens is not me.
I know you're not Kevin Owens because I met you in person, but I can't say that you aren't Kevin Owens' relative.
I'm going to lean into it heavy on TikTok. So if you guys are over that, sorry, I'm going to keep doing it because it's great for engagement. Sean Mega says that Natty versus Promise Braxton match in ROW was fantastic. I didn't see it. Sean, I got to go find that one because I think I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'll say it again because I don't have a problem saying it. I was not entirely convinced that I wanted to go to Crockett Cup. And what 100% convinced me to book a hotel, book flight, book a rental car was because Natty Neidhart was going to be there. And I honestly believe that Natty Neidhart was going to win the Burke. And I wanted to be there to see history be made. Now, obviously, she didn't win. And I still had a great time at the show. It was really fun hanging out with Jaden. It was really fun hanging out with Chris. It was really fun hanging out with Dave Scoob. But I was there because I wanted to see Natty win the Burke, and I really thought she was going to do it. So the whole idea of Natty getting a bigger role to do matches outside of the company, I wish they would. I wish they would. And thank you in the chat for the "You Are Awesomes." I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's get to the next match. I said that like 15 minutes ago. The next match was the Slime Balls, who won the Invitational, the David Crockett Invitational tournament or Battle Royal to get into the Crockett Cup tournament. They upset Blunt Force Trauma, which shocked me. Jane, I think you were pretty surprised too while we were sitting there in Philadelphia. But I have a clip. You want to see the clip? Can I run the clip?
No, but you can show me anyway.
All right. He's gonna kill you. He's gonna kill you. What did you think of Sage Chance in that moment, slapping the face of Odinson? I mean, what did you think about that when you saw that live?
I think he was trying to actually help him out because it looked like Odinson was eating some of those Pop-It powdered sugar donuts from Tasty Cake or Ettimans or whatever it was, because he had this like white powdered sugar thing all over his face. I think he was just trying to help him out. What I didn't like is if you watch the first couple of things with the slime balls, they were baby faces, and now all of a sudden they're heels in the same night. You know, that's poor, in my opinion, progression. There's no reason that they should have been babyface, and then heel, especially because for a while the fans kind of did want to cheer for them. But again, that's inconsistencies and plot holes like that do make it harder to engage with the NWA and invest yourself in it.
Do you think if if Billy kind of went out there and did a redirect and said, okay, guys, hold on. The fans are obviously cheering for you. Let's flip it up a little bit. And I want you guys to go out there and be baby faces. And Kratos and Odinson, you guys just be who you are. Don't worry about it. Just wrestle the same way. But you two, I want you guys to go out there and kiss babies and shake hands. I mean, do you think that would have impacted the match, or the booking itself just didn't work because you had essentially two babyface tag teams in that match?
It may have altered it a little bit because I'm sure they called everything in the back and they don't know how to improvise in the front. But I do think it was a bad call for them not to be baby faces. They should have, as they were calling it, they should have came up to them and said, "Hey, look, change this up. You know, it's either baby, or maybe the Blunt Force. I mean, the Immortals go on a more subtle heel, and then at the end, embrace them as baby faces and stuff like that, because they really wanted to cheer the Slime Balls. Even I, who was not a Slime Balls fan, was much more impressed with them at this cup than I think I've ever been. And I was at the point to that I just didn't see what anybody else saw them up until this day.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's the greatest thing since sliced bread like Reddit does. I do think I could see at least some kind of appeal to them.
Well, with that being said, watch this. That's from another match. Don't watch that. Let's talk more about this match. Whoops. So again, Jaden, you kind of hit the nail on the head. You had two guys who worked two matches in a very distinct style, came out with a little bigger britches, I guess. They came out to the ring, and the wide-eye optimism was gone. It was more intent, more arrogance. And, you know, you're stepping in the ring with the former, I believe, two-time U.S. Tag Team Champions. Kratos is a former NWA World Tag Team Champion with Aaron Stevens. These are not the guys you want to try your luck with. And Sage went in there and slapped the taste out of Odinson's mouth. And it literally was sitting there live. I just thought, holy shit, man, what is this guy doing? I've seen enough matches of Kratos and Odinson to know that they don't really F-A and F-O. They just kind of F-O when you're in a ring with them. So I very much enjoyed the match, and I was kind of surprised of the booking too. Like, again, we kind of felt like maybe they were going to go with this whole underdog thing with the Slime Balls. I feel like the match itself was still pretty good. But like you said, Jaden, I feel like the way they booked it might have been a little off kilter.
Yeah. And again, I think, no long-term planning, no long-term understanding. One thing I don't remember, you asked me before about things like if why they don't capitalize. I don't think the current brain trust of the NWA thinks that way anymore. I understand the NWA is considered traditional and old school and everything, but you need to really mix the the tradition with the future. And I think they really need to start thinking of things less stupid, less gimmicky, less cartoony, but more about how to monopolize and capitalize on situations and get the most out of them, instead of going with the traditional way of, I can't even say traditional, but often like the neglected way of just going what's planned and not being able to adapt on the fly. That's the same problem I have with a lot of wrestlers nowadays, is they plan and don't know how to adapt when something goes wrong. Wrestling promoters, unfortunately, also, a lot of them have that same issue. Agree?
Do you think that going forward, the NWA will book the slime balls in a different way? Do you think that they're going to get more of a babyface push, or do you think it's going to go back to the guys that they were before the Crockett Cup?
I think the NWA is happy to give people a little taste, but I don't think they're able to truly maximize the potential of these guys. I don't think they have the ability to maximize the potential of a lot of people they have on the roster. So I don't believe, honestly, that they will use them to the best advantage. Even if I wasn't the biggest fan at first, I can see now that if with proper coaching and proper manipulation and presentation, that they could be a lot more meaningful to the NWA, especially how much Reddit loves them. I know Reddit and social media is not the be all end all. You know, they could get 20 billion likes on YouTube and 10, which I'm sure will make them happy because there's a lot, at least they'll be making some money, and like 10 trillion likes on TikTok. It doesn't necessarily lead to ticket sales, but at least they could find ways to capitalize while they can.
Yeah, again, we talked about missed opportunities. I feel like it's a reboot for these guys would be the best business decision. But you know, according to Sean Mega, he doesn't think that's the direction. You don't sound like that's the direction. So, so who knows what we're gonna get? And then finally, this week's main event was last year's Crockett Cup winners, the Southern Six, who are also your current NWA US Tag Team Champions. Taking on the makeshift team of EC3 and PB Smooth, Team Exodus Pro. We saw them last week as well. And, you know, when you think about Exodus Pro, their Team Exodus Pro, EC3 and PB Smooth, that seems like a very weird pairing. Not something I would have really thought would make sense. EC3 has been kind of a lone wolf outside of his, you know, few attempts with the Control Your Narrative invasion or the, you know, the Exodus Pro Army, whatever they were called. You know, he's mostly been a lone gunman in the NWA. When he won the world title, he won it by himself. When he lost the world title, he lost by himself. And he's had very little partnership, very little community while being in the NWA. Putting him with PB Smooth and Pastor CeeLo, which again, that's kind of another weird pairing too, because you know, you got one man calling himself the Overman and then the Overlord and was preaching gospel practically a few months ago. Now with the pastor who's been representing PB Smooth. And I don't even know what to call PB Smooth. You know, Pastor CeeLo calls him the super metahuman, which I guess is about fitting because he seems very oddly out of this universe, I guess I would say.
I call him Mega Mind with the size of that forehead.
I don't mind if you do. But I feel like, Sean Mega has a good point. Is EC3 and Smooth an upgraded version of Daisy Kill and Talos? Kinda. Yeah, definitely.
I say PB Smooth has got like 3 or 4 heads above Talos.
Well, in like the last we saw Talos, he's still in All Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't even know if he's going to be at the 77th anniversary show. So, I mean, yeah, the dynamic is similar in that you have the real athletic, smaller guy and the very big heater. And so far, I mean, look, they looked really good in this match, and they kind of won me over in this match. This was the one I was thinking again. I kind of thought that Taylor and Morton were going to go over here. They did win the Crockett Cup last year. They are currently the U.S. Tag Team Champions. But what a way to avoid booking the same finish we saw last year by putting them in a matchup where they get an early exit. For their first match in the Crockett Cup, and they get bounced. Here's a video clip. I hope you enjoy. I was kind of surprised in this match to see Taylor and Morton get as much offense on EC3. That's a former world's heavyweight champion. And he was taking some heat from Morton, taking some heat from Taylor. And, they looked pretty good in an early part of that match. And they were able to use their tag team continuity to get those hot tags, to get in and get out. At times, though, the match did feel a little clunky. You would think Morton and Taylor would be a little bit more fluid, considering this isn't just the second time they've tag teamed, but they're the U.S. Tag Team Champions. They've been teaming quite frequently. They won last year's Crockett Cup. You think that their movements would be a little bit more fluid in the ring. Did you notice any clunkiness, or is that just a Jay thing?
I don't remember there any clunkiness. I do know it makes more sense that they're beating up on EC3 than
that's true.
Than Zippy the Pinhead or whatever his name is, Peanut Butter Smooth, because they're much smaller than him. At least this slimmer, trimmer EC3, which is again an improvement, I think, of his over supplemented NWA title run. I do think this is a big improvement, and I think this was a good match. I did like it. I still think they should have had the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship also defended, because then maybe there could have been a reason that the Southern Six didn't win. They have an excuse in the bag.
Yeah,
but it was a good match, and I am not objective as a lot of people seem to be of the tag team of EC3 and Mr. Sevenhead, because it's the NWA's version of and it's definitely on Wish, but it's the NWA's version of Big Daddy Cool and Shawn Michaels, or in that line of thinking. Even if, say, with Jericho and your former tag team partner in Big Show, it's another version of that. So that's something I think I like the combination, and I'm happy to see them go on further. And we'll talk about it later with the Crockett Cup. With the anniversary, that tag team does look like maybe they are into some bigger and better things coming up.
Well, and then one more clip just for those of you who are watching at home.
EC3! EC3!
The crowd did. Go ahead.
I would say yes, the crowd was getting behind EC3, but also if you ever watched the Muppets Tonight version of the Muppet Show that was on ABC,
yeah,
he really reminds me of Chip of the Muppet, that PB Smooth. If you could find a thing on it, you can see what I mean.
I'll have to go look for that. Again, the match was pretty solid, and we did see a different PB Smooth, a different EC3. They came out as themselves, but kind of got a face reaction against the Southern Six. We didn't acknowledge this earlier, but of course, the Throwbilly Silas Mason, Alex Taylor, and Kerry Morton did a pre-match promo right there in the ring, trying to get some heat on themselves, and they absolutely did right before the matchup. And it was very easy for that Philly fan base to go ahead and churn their backs on the Southern Six and root for EC3 and PB Smooth when they came out there. And I still very much feel like it was a In Tyler We Trust moment. I feel like it was very much, I feel like I have all this feeling like it's like a Fight Club thing. Like that's Project Mayhem, the future Project Mayhem. I don't know. I did locate the file you were asking me to. So forgiveness, please, to the PB Smooth. But Jaden made me do it.
I can see the resemblance, can't you?
Well, he's got EC3's hair.
Yeah, you take EC3's hair on PB Smooth and give him a little bit of a tan, and there you go.
All right.
So, for some reason, I want broccoli and eggs right now.
Broccoli. I had eggs for dinner tonight, and I don't have any regret about that.
I had a pizza bagel.
Pizza bagels aren't bad, but they're not on the diet plan right now.
I'm on the seafood diet. I seafood, I eat it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, so that takes us to the 77. Now, a lot of matches have already been announced for this year's 77th anniversary. There is some star power, but not as much as I probably would have liked. But, I mean, we first look at this. The best news I've heard all year is that the Pope has returned to the NWA. I'm not sure in what capacity. One of my favorite TV champions of this new Lightning One era NWA was the Pope. Not only did they book him very well as champion, but as television champion, they booked the whole division better. They made that TV title feel important. They showcased it better. And I'm excited to see the Pope back in the NWA. Again, don't know what capacity he's going to be in. Speaking of tag teams, him and JTG, Jay the God, were pretty solid at Crockett Cup a few years ago. I don't know what the plan is for the Pope, but I'm very excited to see him return to the NWA. Jade, what's your hot take on the Pope?
I think the Pope speaking is better than a lot of things the NWA has done in the past. And then he can also wrestle, so I think it is a definitely positive addition. He has some name value. He worked with TNA. He worked with the WWE version of ECW. He's part of the new breed of the WWF, and I think it's a positive for the NWA. If it was an addition plus some other big things, I think it would be a bigger deal. Unfortunately, I think they are still lacking in some other things that make this, because in my opinion, I feel the 76 in Philly was a bigger deal than the 77 is. And so I think he should have been a piece of the puzzle, not the main centerpiece of this puzzle.
I agree with that, and especially when we're looking at as we get closer to this. I mean, that there are already some matches, and most of the matches have been announced, and we're literally 2 days away. The show happens this Saturday in Long Island. I believe our friend, our co-host, our pal, Mr. Rick Del Santo, will be there live. So without any further ado, Rick, how are you, sir?
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you. Apologies for the tardiness.
All is well. We already covered Power, so
that's good. I didn't watch it this week.
Perfect. It was actually a pretty good episode. We've been very I feel like this is a hallmark of this show. We are critical when the show needs to be critical, and we need to address the things that are not good about the show. And I also feel like when I feel like the show is good, when we feel like the show is good collectively, we'll say that it was good. Objectively, the last 3 shows of Power have been solid. Were they great? No. But were they good for the NWA? 100% yes. And so the first thing, and I don't know how much you are aware of the 77 card, Rick, but we know that the Pope makes his return to the NWA to address his flock. Now, the one problem I have with this, the only thing that I could see as a negative, is you have Pastor CeeLo, who is part of a congregation. You've got the church's money, which is part of a congregation, and you've got the Pope, who's going to address his flock. I mean, I feel like there might be some gimmick infringement with these 3 guys.
He also forgot about the Sinister Minister.
Oh, shit. Yes. So there's four entities that are representing a church-like approach to pro wrestling. So, Rick, what are your thoughts on the Pope coming back to the NWA? What are your thoughts on the Pope period?
He was a staple in the early stages of Power, obviously former television champion. I think he was very important to the product. And I feel like the product kind of, during that time period that he wasn't there, it was kind of brought down a little bit. I don't think that had anything to do with him really. But I think this could be a positive move, bringing him back in, and I think that his presence could add a little something extra, especially when they're on this mission that Billy states to rise above, I guess you can say.
So, yeah, I think it's a good move. I think it's a net positive. Again, I don't even know what role he's going to have in the NWA, but I'm excited to see what he is going to do. Then I guess the next match the first match we should talk about, we were talking about Tiffany Nieves earlier because she teamed with Valentina Rossi, defended the women's tag team titles as TVMA. And now we're going to have Tiffany Nieves in action in a singles match against Sierra Vale. Now, we haven't seen Sierra Vale on NWA programming, but her and her partner challenged for the tag titles at the Tampa TV tapings. So by the time they air the 77th anniversary show, we'll know a little bit more about Sierra Vale and what she can do in the ring. But do either of you know Sierra Vale? Have you seen her before? Do you have any inside information?
I know nothing about her. Sorry.
I think I might be mistaken. I think she was originally scheduled to wrestle Dog at the Monmouth County Fair and pulled off. So, but I have to make sure if it's the same person.
Okay. The very little that I saw, I think she is a Florida-based wrestler. Or no, probably Northeast, considering that that's where they're at. So, anyways, I don't know much about her. I know that she's not on Cage Match, which either means she's really new to the business or has worked in promotions that don't get a lot of coverage on Cage Match. So, looking at Tiffany Nieves, knowing what she brings to the table, I kind of wish she was defending the tag titles as well as the television title. And if I had to choose, I'd rather see the tag titles defended than the TV title. But nevertheless, this is what we get. And Tiffany Nieves, I don't think she's had a bad match since she's been in the NWA. So I think it'll be good no matter what happens. Do you guys have any conflicting ideas with that?
Like I said, I'm unfamiliar with the one lady, so I have really no idea going into this. Tiffany Nieves, I mean, like you said, she's been pretty good. Everything that she puts on is pretty solid since she's joined the NWA. So it could be a very good match. Not knowing anything at all about her opponent.
With that being said, the other match that's going to be on the line, the other title that'll be on the line, the television title, men's television title, and I'm freezing up here. There we go. We got Brian Idol. I believe this is his first title defense, but he might have defended in Tampa. I'm not 100% sure on that. He will defend the title against Joe Casio, stand out in the Northeast as well. Joe Casio wrestles a lot in the New York area, so a bit of a I don't want to say homecoming, but kind of a hometown hero with a Casio in this match. He's kind of been the hothead of the NWA. We haven't really seen a lot of positive with Ocasio in terms of wins and losses, but he is a guy that seems to find his way to getting booked, whether it be in Chicago or on those independent shows that they did in the Northeast. I think this could have potential to be a good match, and I don't like Brian Idol, so I'm fully invested in Joe Ocasio carrying this match. Gentlemen, we'll start with you first, Jaden. What do you think of the potential of a Brian Idol-Joe Ocasio match? You think it's going to be good? And what are your thoughts on Joe Ocasio?
I think Ocasio is underrated, so I think this is actually a good match, and I don't dislike Joe Alonzo Brian Idol like you guys do. So I think it's going to be something that I don't mind seeing. I don't think it's going to be a 5-star instant classic, especially because it's going to take place in Japan. But I think it'll be an entertaining match. I honestly think, though, that they should do the Valerie Verman and Samuel Thompson route and have them both in each other's corner and turn them both heel and make them a combination. I think that's a better use of both wrestlers and maybe capitalize on both of them and their real life relationship to add to their ability to be taken as bigger than they are.
I don't hate that idea at all. And a heel Markova, I think, would really get over in the NWA, and a heel Brian Idol, and them, cheating to win, I think would be a very interesting dynamic for the pair of them. Camille and Tom were both heel at one point when Camille was world champion, but then kind of evolved to a baby face, where this would be almost the exact opposite. You take two baby faces and turn them heel to keep those titles. I think that would be very interesting way to do this.
I remember when I used to think Markova was Stifler's mother.
That's true. That's true.
God.
My daughters, all three of my daughters do a Jennifer Coolidge impression. And then what's really fun is then they'll start talking to each other like Furbies, but then they'll be like, oh God, I want a hot dog real bad. And it's just like, oh my God. I'm like, you guys save that for TikTok. That's content. What are you doing? Rick, what are your thoughts on this match? Do you think that this has potential to be a good match?
I think it has very good potential. And like you, I am not a fan of Brian Idol. However, what I have seen from Joe Ocasio, I do really enjoy so far what I've seen. So I think going forward that they have potential to put on a very, very good match. Probably one of the better ones out of the entire event, possibly, maybe.
Yeah.
I know that's saying a lot, but because the show, I mean, from what is announced, it seems like it's going to be a pretty good event. So, yeah, I really do like what I've seen from Joe Ocasio so far in here. So.
Real quick, Rick, NWA doesn't run events, they run shows.
Excuse me. Sorry. I gotta start reading and figuring out which is which. You're making it very difficult for me.
Dangerous to run Wrestling Gladiators. No, they don't run shows. They run events.
They run events. Okay.
If you want to see the difference, and fans of TikTok and Instagram and Twitch and YouTube and everywhere else this is being shared, if you want to see the difference, come to a Dangerous to Run Wrestling Gladiators event, and you can tell the difference.
Oh, okay.
The difference is in the pudding. Okay, that's the proof. Sorry. Next up, we have Hammerstone making his epic return to the National Wrestling Alliance to take on Kerry Morton. Now, post art be damned, why do both these guys have such terrible fake tans? They both look terrible. I'm not sure how we get to this. I'm not sure how we get to Hammerstone versus Kerry Morton. We know that at the Crockett Cup, Hammerstone and Silas Mason have a very solid one-on-one match. We do know that we won't give out any spoilers, but apparently this match stems from the activity that happened in the first Southern Six Alexander Hammerstone matchup. So I really feel like this could be a good one as well, because I've seen Hammerstone have really good matches with different variety of talents. I don't hate Kerry Morton the way that some people do, but Rick Del Santo, tell me about this one. What do you think? Can Kerry Morton step up? Do you think Hammerstone is going to knock his socks off? I mean, what do you think is going to happen in this one?
Kerry Morton is hit or miss for me. Like, I think the guy's got a world of potential, especially seeing who his father is, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think he's gotten there yet. I think that he has the potential. Hammerstone, to me, will probably want to be, depending on what kind of a match he's wrestling, because I've seen him wrestle things that I don't necessarily agree with. But a straight wrestling match, I think that this dude can really put on a great wrestling match, right? I think this has potential that maybe Kerry Morton up a little bit and actually put on the proverbial banger, I guess you could say, that this could be a very, very good match. Because to me, Hammerstone's one of the top guys that's not signed by a major company, really.
And I think I completely agree with that. I feel like he's been super under the radar, considering who he is, what he's been able to accomplish. But Jaden, well, I'm sorry, Rick, did I interrupt you?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, Kerry, he looks too much like a baby. You know what I mean? Still.
Yeah.
As supposed to be this big heel. and he's not as convincing enough, but he needs to step it up a little bit. And I think that if he can get in there and with Hammerstone and do that, I think that this could be, like I said, a fantastic matchup. And I think that's what I got.
What are your thoughts, Jaden?
Hammerstone's not a household name, but he definitely has name value, and I think win, lose, or draw, Kerry Martin can elevate himself in this match, especially if they have a really good combination. I also wouldn't be objective to maybe for something in the television market where they bring Hammerstone back and have Hammerstone and Richard Holiday versus Kerry Martin and not Joe Alonso.
Alex Taylor.
I have Joe Alonso on the brain. Who the hell is that guy?
He is a world junior heavyweight champion that lost to Alex Taylor.
Okay. Or Thrillbilly and Kerry Morton would actually be a bigger matchup that I'd like to see between the two. And so, elevate them all in a way, because nobody can cut a promo like Thrillbilly. And besides the talent, Hammerstone looks like $1 million. And I do think even though some people don't see it, I do think that Holiday has a lot going on and NWA can capitalize on him. And I think Kerry Morton everybody says he looks like a babyface, but he also just looks smackable.
Yes.
And I think that's something that they also don't take advantage of well enough. His absolute smackability.
That's a good point. You definitely that's what I feel. That's I agree with that 100%.
So I think that's something that could be a good match and hopefully maybe lead to more. Because one of the things I think television keeping the premium live events or the signature live events or the pay-per-views or whatever the heck they're called, giant house shows, and keep them separate and maybe put as a big deal as a complete show. So that way we're not getting this bad matchup to star power ratio. But also proper building up television, having television mean something and having feuds on television that lead to even bigger or better things to pay-per-view. I think that's where the NWA is also dropping the ball. And that's, again, Hammerstone, Holiday, Thrillbilly, and Smackable Morton can be built into some good television if they know how.
I mean, man, that kind of makes my mouth water with the idea of getting Richard Holiday and Hammerstone, even in a short time, on the NWA roster. We keep looking at this NWA and we're like, well, they had just a few more pieces. If they could just do something a little different, if they could get more eyeballs on the product. I definitely feel putting Holiday and Hammerstone back together as a tag team in the NWA could be a step in that positive direction, although I'm not going to hold my breath for it.
Why isn't Holiday signed to a major company? I recently had this discussion with a mutual friend of myself and Holiday's. What do you guys have an opinion?
I know a lot of people's other opinions. Sorry to cut you off, Jay. I know a lot of people's other opinions. He's just missing something.
Okay, so there was a time recently when he was sick. Do you guys remember this at all, or were you aware of it?
Yeah, leukemia, if I remember right.
Yeah, something like that. So a lot of people are thinking that the friend that I have that is also very close to Richard Holiday, also stated that they think that it might just be that they don't want to sign that because of his history with that. So I'm not sure what you guys' opinion. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, and because that is like it's something that we kind of bring up on a regular basis is Richard Holiday and why isn't he here? Why isn't he there? And this was a conversation I had actually like last week. So I was just wondering what you guys thought about that and if you guys agree with that at all.
Jay?
I mean, look, it very well could be.
Yeah.
And I would hate for him if that is the case. I really would, because that almost feels like discrimination.
Yeah, I guess they don't want to take a risk or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Roman Reigns didn't he have a bout with leukemia?
100%, yes.
And so, like, I mean, I could get hey, we got to be careful with this, but at the same time, like, people say that Holiday has all the right tools. Like Jaden was saying, some people think that maybe he's lacking something. I heard one wrestler or one promoter say that it's hard to produce a guy who already feels that they're produced. Like if somebody thinks that they are it's kind of hard to, produce that talent to be what you want them to be. And that's the only thing that I could think of. Like Richard Holiday, he put in his time, man. He carried the ball in MLW. He's been a fairly big name on the fringe. He just hasn't been able to take that next step to get to that next level. And I think it's a crime. But at the same time, like if he's rubbing people the wrong way, which I don't know if that's the case, but if that's it, I can see where some of the bigger promotions might not want to use him. The adding to the wrinkle of it about his leukemia, I mean that certainly could be an issue, which I hope it isn't. But I'm interested to hear what you say, Jaden. What's your take on it?
Well, I think if it is true with that, it might be multiple reasons. People do talk in the business, and people get a perception of an attitude or a perception of something, and it's hard for people to think of them otherwise.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with Holiday, Jaden, or brought him into Dog? Yeah.
Well, Dr. Zirconian brought him into Dog. Excuse me. He took on Ray Jazz at a Rowan University event. Mm-hmm. It was a good match, and it actually helped Ray Jazz get more notoriety in itself. Mm-hmm. Really no problem with him at all. He's a Northeast guy. He's a guy I also think the NWA is dropping a ball on because he's somebody with some name value. He's not a household name, but he's got some name value. He's got a good promo. He's got a personality on the social media. He's got a gimmick. And he's somebody that they should have been bringing into the 77th because Connecticut's close enough to New York that I even think that Rick might drive there.
Breaking news. I will be there.
Please wear the Alliance Blog T-shirt because you'll be the only one there wearing one.
I will. I was trying to figure out what shirt I was wearing, so
Do you have an Alliance Blog hat too?
I'll make a Watch Alliance Guys podcast sign.
Also make Jay Kyle's Not Kevin Owens.
Yeah, please.
That might be the one I do make.
She got two sides to a sign, don't forget.
Did you see? Yeah, there's two sides to it. So real easy. Did you guys see the video?
I saw the new video you made. The one with the autograph.
Yeah.
That one was great. That was great.
Go ahead, Jaden.
Dr. Zirconium sent it to me, and I try to tell him I don't have TikTok because I don't do little dances and stuff like that. But he made sure to screenshot it so I could see it because I couldn't give you a like, though. Sorry, because I don't have social media.
That's fine. My buddy Soto, who may or may not be watching right now in the chat. Oh, there he is. I'm wearing my Lions Blog shirt right now. Thanks, Soto. Soto produced me on those. Soto is on TikTok, and he's really everywhere, YouTube and Instagram, all that stuff as well. But we've bonded. We're buddies. We've gone to wrestling shows together now. We've gotten beaten up at wrestling shows together now. But it was an idea he had for us to do this silly thing where I'm Kevin Owens at the show. And I got to tell you, I felt like a complete asshole the entire time. I'm walking around the venue, and the referees are looking at me like, you kind of do look like Kevin Owens. Some of the luchadors are like, soy un Kevincito. And I'm like, So it was fun, but it's on YouTube as well. So
at least you didn't carry a belt with you like you needed to defend it. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The only time I bring a belt to an event is to get signed, and I don't display it. I don't put it over my shoulder. I think I told this story before, but I'll say it again. I remember when I first started going to wrestling shows, not indie shows, wrestling shows, and this guy who looked like Steve Corino, honestly, if Steve Corino was like a vanilla milkshake, if that makes sense. Just very dull, very boring.
Squeaky clean?
Yeah, the guy's wearing like a suit. And he had this striking similarities to Steve Corino, except for he had brown hair. And he had I believe it was the WCW World Title, and he was wearing it on his shoulder. So proud of this fucking thing. And I remember being like in high school and thinking, what a fucking mark. Like, what are you doing, pal? And I remember listening to his conversation with somebody, and they were like, "Hey man, I'll fight you for that." He goes, "Well, all right, you tell me when and where." You guys like, right fucking now. And he's like, "Just so you know, my friends are gonna back me up." And I'm like, "You don't have any friends, sir. You carry title belts to WWE events." And this was like but we're talking like 99, 98.
Before it was commonplace. Now it's like everybody, like 30 people in the crowd that's got belts. Like,
and I get it. Like, it's become, wrestling's become more affordable in some ways, where you could buy a piece of that guy probably paid like $300 or $400 for that title belt back in the day. Probably costs a lot more now. But anyways, sorry, got sidetracked there. The next match that I think we should talk about will be the World Junior Heavyweight Champion Alex Taylor defending against Rich Swann. Rich Swann, for his credit, former X Division champion, former TNA World Champion, lost the TNA title. I guess back then it was the Impact title. Lost that to Kenny Omega when Kenny Omega was the belt collector. I feel like Rich Swann has kind of disappeared now. I know that he just made his comeback in TNA Wrestling, so I don't know what's going to happen here at the 77th anniversary show. But we talk about star power. He's got some credibility, some star power in the wrestling world. He's not a household name like Jaden said earlier, but a pretty big name for the junior heavyweight division, a guy who I think any of us would like to represent our junior heavyweight division. I'll ask you first, Jaden, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about Rich Swann? What do you think about this title match?
I might be mistaken. I think he was supposed to wrestle Dirty Money for the Dog Championship in an event at Clayton High School before Clayton High School changed things around to not have wrestling. He's got some talents. He's, I think, a former cruiserweight champion in the WWE where he's wrestled. I think he was a member of Hit Row, which obviously, I think, do they have any members of Hit Row left in the WWE? He's. Oh wait, no, I'm not thinking. Which one? I'm thinking that's somebody else. Never mind.
You're talking about AJ Francis.
No, there was. I'm thinking of the guy in
Swerve.
Yeah, Swerve Strickland. So never mind. Swerve Strickland is what I was thinking of.
That was a racist comment, dude.
I know. I was. I've been hanging around J Cal too much.
Whoa! Continue.
Ku Klux Kevin over there.
You say shit like that, and people are gonna believe you, dude.
Don't cancel him. But yeah, but anyway, like Rich Swann's a talented wrestler. I like him. It was well known in CZW around here, and he's worked a lot of promotions and did TNA, and he's probably. I have to look at the roster again. He may be the biggest name in the company, star power wise, with notoriety currently on this card. Yeah. So I guess that's a good thing. I guess it's a good match. I doubt he's winning the junior heavyweight championship, so I guess it's a good match to get Alex Taylor over.
Wow, interesting.
Jay, Rick.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading Lou Dez's comments. Like, stop it. We don't want that to stick.
Sorry. Sorry, is it my turn? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I don't want to just start talking, but
please do. Please.
I'm going to flip it a little bit. So I think that this is a match because Alex Taylor has really done nothing with that belt. Really. Yep. He's barely been on TV from what I can remember, and if he has, it's been nothing memorable, at least in my eyes, my brain. And there's a very good chance that maybe NWA might bite the bullet, put it on Rich Swann, and give that belt a little bit more shine because since its inception, I mean, you put it on, it really hasn't had any kind of star power holding that belt and adding any flair to the belt or adding any kind of importance. If who knows, but I mean, Swann could come in, hold it for a couple months, and then come back and lose it to, I don't know, somebody else, not Alex Taylor, anybody but Alex Taylor. Somebody that's got a little bit more skill and that we could watch on a more regular basis. But also, if you look at what happened at Crockett Cup, was it Crockett Cup when Natty came in? She challenged for the women's title, did not win the women's title. Same situation can happen here with this belt. However, either way, I think Rich Swann is going to be the guy that actually carries this match and makes it be a good match, because Swann has been everywhere. He's done everything. I got a chance to meet him here at an indie show while he was actually in TNA, post-COVID and stuff like that. Hell of a guy, I thought. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought he puts on great matches, and I think that he's going to end up being what makes this a really good match.
And just not for nothing, we talk about the pedigree of Richard Swann. Of course, he has held cruiserweight titles, in RCW and I believe that's Rio Grande Wrestling. He used to be a part of the NWA back in the day. He was he was an NWA champion of Florida Underground Wrestling. He was their Flash champion, which is similar to the idea of an X Division champion. He wrestled in FIP as a heavyweight champion. He was part of Dragon Gate, where he would win the United Gate champion with Johnny Gargano. He was a former tag team champion with Roderick Strong in FIP. He was a Rev Pro British tag team champion with Ricochet as the Inner City Machine Guns, which I think is a great name. He did hold the WWE Cruiserweight champion. He held the belt for 61 days. In that he ended up taking the title off of Brian Kendrick, and then would end up eventually losing the title to Neville in the WWE. But again, had the Impact Digital Media Championship, the X Division Champion, the World Championship. He's a former CZW World Champion. I mean, clearly this guy has a pretty good repertoire when it comes to pro wrestling. He is a guy that I think would be an excellent addition to the NWA roster if he's going to be a regular. And if not a regular, at least somebody who could be a shot in the arm, similar to what Richard Holiday could bring to the table, kind of what Hammerstone could bring to the table if they decided to use him on a more regular basis. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. Like you said, Alex Taylor as World Junior Heavyweight Champion has been almost a non-issue. When he won the title, I don't know what the expectations were, but the amount of title defenses dropped significantly. We haven't seen that belt. I mean, I think he defended against Jack Cartwheel one time, and maybe Alex Misery one time, and I don't think we've seen the belt since. So to me, I'm okay for a change. I'd be okay even a short run with the title belt. And real quick, Carlton Paget says that Swann needs to win that title. He can carry the junior belt all around the country. I'm less concerned about him carrying the belt all over the country and just being active in the NWA with the title. I think that would be a good start.
Making that junior heavyweight championship important again, because right now it does not seem important at all with its current holder.
Now, I did mention earlier that the NWA Women Tag Team titles were not announced for the 77th anniversary show. I think I know why. Because Valentina Rossi will be in Japan on Sunday, August 17th, as part of a Marvelous wrestling event. She will be in a triple threat match with Yusuke Santa Maria, who's from Dragon Gate, and Takumi Iroha, who is from Marvelous. So we won't be seeing Valentina Rossi at this event, which is probably why the titles aren't on the line. But a set of tag titles that will be on the line will be Murnox, the NWA World Tag Team Champions, taking on the team of the Holy Grail, which I'm not a fan of the name, but better than Team Exodus Pro. We have EC3. We have PB Smooth taking on the World Tag Team Champions. It's kind of a surprise for me right now because I wasn't anticipating seeing these guys taking on getting a tag title match before the folks who win the Crockett Cup. So, sorry, spoilers a little bit, but very interesting matchup as far as I'm concerned. Jaden, I want to hear your hot take on this one.
I think Murnox, as much as I like him as a tag team, it's time to lose the tag belts. I would have rather have seen him against the winners of the Crockett Cup. Who, if I'm trying to remember, who defeated Murnox to eliminate them? Was it the winners?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's where I would have done it differently if they were going to potentially have somebody beat Murdoch's. It should have been another tag team beat Murdoch's and then lost to the tag team who ended up winning it. So that way you would have two credible contenders. And this is where a win by EC3 and the Sniper's Wet Dream would have really made a big difference.
Sure.
And then they could have established that, hey, look, they didn't win the cup, but they beat the champs, so they get a championship match. AC3 winning a tag title helps with his legacy, I guess. He's held the national, he's held the world heavyweights. I don't think he was television, I might be mistaken. But this will add to his NWA legacy at least. As much as these belts, which you talk about the world junior heavyweight title not meaning anything, none of the belts in the NWA, even kind of the world, don't really mean that much anyway. But maybe this is something to elevate it. But it's nice that a former world's champion and a giant 7-foot tall guy with a huge forehead take on another former NWA world's heavyweight champion and another huge guy. It's a lot of meat slapping meat right there. And you don't even have to download anything on the internet and get a virus to see it.
It's fair.
I don't even know if I can follow up with it.
Don't try to follow. Just get your hot take in.
I want to know, how many times have we seen Team Exodus Pro or whatever you call them? Twice? 2 times? And they get a title shot?
I've seen it 3 times personally.
3 times, yeah. But was it
in person?
So yeah, but automatically they get a title shot. So it's kind of like, it doesn't seem very convincing. Is it going to be a good match? It's probably going to be a damn good match. Is it time for Knox and Murdoch to lose the belt? It'll be it's probably been a year, right? Or over a year, because they won them. When did they win them? Crockett Cup last year? Was that what it was? Or at a different event? It was because when they came in the 76, they already had the belts.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
They came into the 70s. Yeah, they won them before the 76.
I think they won them at 76. I think that's when they won them.
No, they came out. They came out. Yeah, they came out in as champions during that, and it's something that I was not aware of. So, so it's probably been over a year, roughly. So, is it time for them to lose it? Probably. Are EC3 and PB Smooth the guys to take those belts off of them? I don't know. I don't know if that's the decision. Either way, it's going to be probably an interesting matchup. You know, I really do like Knox and Murdoch a lot. I think when they're out there having brawls and slapping their opponents and just all that, throwing people around, I really enjoy watching that. Are they going to be able to do that with EC3 and PB Smooth? Probably not. But either way, it'll probably be an enjoyable matchup.
If PB Smooth does win, he can wear the NWA World Tag Team belt like a headband. It'll be like one of those leaf ninjas from Naruto.
I don't know what Naruto is.
Quick, that's the anime crap. My son watches it.
Knox and Murdoch win the tag titles by defeating Blunt Force Trauma on June 1st, 2024 at the Back to the Territories event in Knoxville, Tennessee. They defend the titles against the Southern Six at the last year's 76th anniversary show. And they would defeat the Fixers. They'd defeat Christian Hunter and Jake Powers. They defeated the Spectaculars, Rolando and Slade. They would defeat Blunt Force Trauma. They would defeat Daisy, Kill, and Talos. They would lose by disqualification to the Slime Balls. Then they would go on to defeat the Slime Balls. They would lose. They would defeat the Premier, which I believe is a WLW tag team. Then they would defeat the Slime Balls again at Hard Times. And then Knox and Murdoch would defeat the Country Gentlemen and the Troublemakers at the Beard and Beer Market in Knoxville, Tennessee, as part of NWA JCP from May. So this will be their next match. And I'm actually going to see Mike Knox teaming with his old tag team partner, Hollywood Yates, in Arizona next weekend as he takes on the Tribe, which a friend of the show, Navajo Warrior, will team with the Hawaiian Lion, former NWA International Tag Team Champions, and all-around good guys. So I'll give you a report on that event when it happens. Carlton Paget. I hope I'm saying that right, Carlton. Please don't take offense by it. Not. Pretty Boy needs to turn his back on EC3 and join BFT. They don't make a mask big enough for him to join BFT. Come on, Jaden. That was a joke built for you. You no response?
I thought you were going to go more with it. I'm sorry. I was waiting for the second part of it.
Oh, well.
You know, and yes, they do build that. That's how they cover the tarmacs and tarps and stuff when it's going to snow in the Northeast. They use that to cover up the where the airplanes land.
Well, that's what they use to cover Lambeau when it's snowing and they want to protect the field. They just pull the tarps out.
Yes, in Lambeau Field.
The frozen tundra. All right, next match. We've got Natalia Markova challenging for the NWA Women's World Champion. Noob, I hope you're in the chat. I feel like the time has come. Our Women's World Champion has now held that title for well over 2 years. And I don't know what she needs to do more to prove herself as Women's World Champion. I just don't think there's anything she can do now to prove herself as Women's World Champion. She's 23 years old, guys. She's held the belt for 719 days. She's defended the title against, Samantha Starr, Crystal Rose, Roxy, Danny Jordan, Ruthie J, Ari Alexander, Tiffany Nieves, Jada Stone, Freya the Slayer, Natalia Markova, Lily La Pescadilla, Misa Kate, Brittany Jade, Stevie Ash, Ella Envy, Roxy, Maxie Impaler, Saraya Saber, Haley J. I mean, Natty Neihart. I mean, she's really gone through the whole gauntlet of potential challengers. I don't know that there's anything left for Kenzie Page to prove as Women's World Champion. And the other thing that I want to stress is a champion can lose a title and still go and challenge for it again. It doesn't mean that the champion has to leave the company or never challenge for that title again. I feel like Markova is long overdue for an opportunity to be NWA Women's World Champion. I feel like if she doesn't win the title this Saturday night, then just forget it. She's never going to win the title because I just feel like this is the most opportune time as opposed to the last most opportune time, which was the last time she challenged for the title. Rick, what are your thoughts on this one?
This is a match I really want to see. I really have grown to like Natalia Markova a lot. And I think that it is time for Paige to lose the title to Natalia. It's something that, it's something that they've been building towards for quite some time now. And I think it is. It's it. Like you said, over 2 years, they're building it. And they could probably make a lot of money in her chasing for the title, trying to get it back. It'd be probably more interesting. You know what I mean? It would make for a more interesting story. So I think that that's pretty much how this should go.
How about you, Jane? What are your thoughts on this one?
I not only think that Kenzie has done everything she can as NWA World Women's Champion, she's done everything she can in the NWA. She's a bigger fish in a small pond, and I think while the NWA did a decent job putting some kind of spotlight on her, and I think it's now time that she needs to check out and test out other pastures and other wrestlers and other champions to really see what she has. I know this guy called the Hawk often calls her like 3-Move Kenzie. And, that's all she does, but I've seen her do more. I know there is more under there, and I think an opportunity to have steel sharpen steel to really test out her wrestling ability in other places can put a bigger spotlight on her, where I think then maybe she could integrate into one of the bigger companies and really get themselves. And with TNA doing its best to really make a mark on wrestling right now, she could be somebody in the women's division that can grab some positive attention, even though I really, really, really want Markova just to grab her by a nose ring and rip it off.
I think that Paige would be perfect. I think she'd be fit in perfectly with the TNA women's division. I mean, just saying.
Well, and selfishly, I don't know if Kenzie's ready to take that next step or not, but what would be the harm in a Page Sisters tag team? I mean, I feel like that would be very interesting, especially when you have the opposition like TVMA. It was supposed to be Kenzie and Kylie wrestling for those tag titles when they won them instead of Big Mama. And I don't know, I feel like there's stuff you can do with Kenzie and Kylie that you couldn't do before as she was world champion. So who's to say what's going to happen next? But I think we can all agree that it's time for Markova to win the title.
Absolutely.
And Luthez says it's time for Paige to retire the brat thing for good. It's time for Paige to go back into the cocoon for the next level up.
She needs to go Super Saiyan. Do you understand that anime response, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Voltron was one of my favorite cartoons. Of course I know what that is.
Yes.
You're old enough to remember Voltron?
Yeah, I'm not that much younger than you. Yeah, I grew up loving Voltron.
Oh. There used to be. Do you remember there used to be 2 different versions of Voltron?
There were 3 different versions.
3 different. What's the third?
Triple Robots.
I don't remember that one.
It was a much neglected one. They were not happy with the car one, and they actually made a cartoon with the car one and the lion one to try to integrate more people paying attention to the car one. In reality, it's like the NWA. They didn't really pay attention to what they had. They just went cheap and tried to use the already pre-existing footage and do some voiceover on it, and they really dropped the ball on Voltron, and it hurt the franchise for a little bit.
It wasn't good.
I remember the car one. I remember the cartoon would be on sometime. They would fill in when they didn't have enough episodes to, of the lion one. At least where I was.
I want to say that I saw one of the cartoons from the 3 robot. And maybe it was just an extended commercial. I don't know, but I have this memory of it. And my mom even bought me the toys. Mm-hmm. And they were very primitive compared to Voltron. Basically, the arms would just go up and you would just stack the robots on top of each other. But it was cool when you were a kid and nobody knew what it was. So, I mean, I remember that. But, yeah.
And if you're going with your giant Jaeger-style robot hierarchy, Voltron is definitely bigger than Omega Supreme and more Metroplex because he was the size of a capital ship.
We've had this conversation offline.
I know.
Kind of nerds when it comes to big giant robots.
Yes.
And that's the name of our next podcast is Big Giant Robot Nerds. Join us if you dare. Noob says he believes it's time for Kenzie to drop the Burke. Natalia's chasing that title for too long. I think we knew that, Noob. I was hoping that you'd have some more inside information on this one. But, I think we could all agree with you, Noob. It's time. And for me, it's not a disrespect thing for Kenzie. I just think she has nothing else to prove as women's world champion. Give her a new mission. Give her something else to excel at. Maybe Kenzie and Kylie as the women's tag team champions could help elevate that division, or a rivalry with TVMA might help grow that division. I just feel like what it is now is lacking.
Maybe it's part of the Women's Crockett Cup. And I definitely think that Markova they need to show the fact that she has the assets to be a good women's champion.
Fair. And that brings us to the main event, which is friend of the show, Silas Mason, taking on other friend of the show, Tom Latimer, for the 10 pounds of gold.
If Tom's such a friend, how come he doesn't come on this show? Does he think you're a ham sandwich jabroni? Oh, no, that was another champion.
That was the other English champion. No,
does Kevin Owens get along with
Nick Aldis?
Nick Aldis and SmackDown?
I don't think anyone gets along with Nick Aldis. Have you seen the show?
No, not really. I don't watch a lot of WWE, honestly.
I watch a lot of wrestling.
I do, just not modern.
Yeah, well, yeah. I should have corrected myself, but yes.
I do feel like this isn't the right time for Silas Mason. I love Silas Mason. I think he is the future of the NWA. I think he's a future world's heavyweight champion. And I think there was a time and place where I would have put the title belt on him sooner. I don't feel like this is the right time. I don't feel like it's been built up appropriately. I feel like Silas Mason has lost a lot of steam over the years, having dropped the title, giving up the national title to challenge for the world title only to lose to EC3. I feel like he needed some momentum coming into this, and I don't think that I've seen enough to warrant him getting this title shot. Now, they did have his promo with Mims at the Thrillbilly Bar in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Thrillbilly had said that, hey, Mims, you're getting my corner, you help me out. we can make money as the next main event. We can make money as the world's heavyweight champion and the national champion. Bims didn't seem to sign off on that, but I think this will be a fun match. I don't think it's going to be the best match on the card, and sadly, I don't think it's time for Silas Mason to win the title. So, real quick, Luthes says, honestly love Silas, but agree this is the wrong time. Also, don't want Markova to have her night outshined. I agree with that. Now, Jaden, I mean, obviously we're fans of Silas Mason. We have been going back to the days of him and our own friend Poyle Del Mar. What is your hot take on this matchup, and do you think it's the right one?
I think it's the right match. I think the next 3 months, the next 3 Signature Live events should have been putting Silas over with big wins and as much TV time and interview time and promo time and not stupid skit time as possible.
Yeah.
So I think that should have been, he should have been winning it at like hard times or something like that. It doesn't always have to be the anniversary when the world title changes hands.
Yeah.
And I think that Tom has not capitalized on the NWA title and the recognition and prestige it gives him. I don't know if he listens to the show. If he does, and if he's a friend of the show, he needs to come on. Because I wasn't a Tom fan. It took me a while to even start liking him. But I'm starting to grow into him and starting to become a Tom fan. But I think he has not at all capitalized on this championship as much as he can. Because there's a lot that he could be doing. He could be elevating himself with social media, with interviews, with good wrestling matches, and he should be going to All Japan Pro Wrestling. He should be going defending his title in big places that grab a lot of attention. I think that somebody should really light a fire under his ass and really work with a documentary producer to do a thing on him like the 10 Pounds of Gold, and to put himself out there and get a social media manager and have his stuff out there to really create himself with videos and highlights. The MLPW is a good start, but he really needs to be places that grab attention. If he has any friends in reality wrestling, he has any friends in Ohio Valley Wrestling, he has any friends, if he wants to call Rick Del Santo and see if he has some friends in Connecticut. He needs some places right now to really grab attention. He needs to grab any friends he has with Pro Wrestling Illustrated. He needs to start doing podcasts. He needs to, but see, you could be aggressive. EC3 was aggressive with it. For a while, Nick Aldis was aggressive with it. He needs to be aggressive and get himself out there. The problem is he's waiting for the NWA to do all this, and he needs to grab the bull by the balls and drag him around and do everything himself, because obviously the NWA doesn't have the ability to really capitalize and market him well. So he needs to do it himself. He needs to, if he's got friends on TV shows that have nothing at all to do with pro wrestling, show up with that 10 pounds of gold. If he has any friends in, maybe he could do something with TNA, maybe he could do something with NXT. He really needs to go out there and do something to grab that attention, because I know he's got to have people that he knows that he likes that like him back.
What about doing just a spot on like Fox News or something?
Even on Fox News, say what you will. Fox News is whatever, but he can also do something. If he doesn't do just Fox News, he needs to do Busted Open Radio. He needs to do the Alliance podcast with J. Cal, the number one source of the news and information of the National Wrestling Alliance. He needs to do the Chris Van Vliet, I think his name is, or something like that. He needs out there to get something out, and he needs opponents that mean something. It's fine with Bish or Dyer or with the guy who was part of the Dark Order, or Stu Grayson and Matt Cardona and stuff like that. That's great, but you find people that have some kind of buzz right now. That Tommy Invincible kid. And this is again where the NWA fails with this anniversary. I'll talk about it. I'll go on to a segue into this. This doesn't feel important. For an anniversary show, it does not feel important, and the NWA needs something. So we'll talk about a subject that we were talking about, Jay Cal and I, a little bit off the air. This is where a Killer Kross needs to show up and tack the winner of the Silas match and an AC3 and Tom Latimer, and show up with Scarlett. And Scarlett needs to dye her hair red because her name's Scarlett. Damn it.
Agreed.
He needs to go against Tommy Invincible. He needs to go against before he gets signed with the WWE, Ben Bishop. Matt Cardona should be here, and the NWA should be bringing these people in. They don't even capitalize on Jack Vaughn, who has a little bit of internet buzz and has something out there. When was the last time any of these stars are interacting with Jack Vaughn for his little YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and everything like that? None of them are taking advantage of all this. And I think Latimer should be. I think Throwbilly should be. I think Kenzie Page should be. I think the NWA should find a way to capitalize on anything right now that's going to grab attention to the NWA to possibly continuously show good wrestling matches and put on a good card and make it make sense by putting championship matches where they're supposed to be and not overload it in the end because you don't know how to put together television when you're putting together a premium live event. And they need to find ways to mean things. They need to bring in stars that mean something. This where a Holiday could come in handy. He's not the biggest name, but it's something else that can grab attention. They need to find ways. I mean, it's in freaking Long Island, and Cardona's not there. And if he wasn't there and he wasn't going to be there, they needed to change the date to get him there, because I'm not a Cardona. I'm not the big Cardona fan. I don't buy into it. I don't like the indie god. I don't like the deathmatch god thingy. But I know he can talk and he can grab attention, and he should be there, whether it's to team with somebody and lose to somebody, or wrestle somebody and give them a rub or something like that. In Long Island, if they're going to do it in there, it needs to make sense. So this is where the NWA is failing, because they don't know how to make them feel special. They had even opportunity with Natalya, and they haven't even capitalized on it yet. And they couldn't even capitalize on the break apart between them. And what is it going to be? 2 more weeks now before we even see that match?
At least.
Yeah. That should have been the very first main event of the new era of Power. And then they should have not done any premium live events, just television tapings to build toward that and do the premium live events. And they just don't have that ability to really grab the bull by the balls and run and make Rocky Mountain oysters out of it.
All right, so then, obviously that was a lot, but Rick, what was your thought on this? Like, what do you think about?
There's a lot out there.
There was. I'm kind of confused, but
Are you taking notes?
I think this will be a good match, and I think that both men have pretty much lost steam. Even Tom as NWA champion, because he has not really done much of significance, in my opinion, as far as being champion. Besides working, like you guys said, a couple shows at Maple Leaf Pro and whatnot, like nothing high profile. And the NWA should be talking about this stuff on the program. Our world champion is here. Because back in the day, Jim Crockett would always talk about Flair being wherever, going to Japan and going wherever, right? So why isn't Billy Corgan or Joe Galli or somebody talking about Tom Latimer traveling the world as NWA world champion? That's just my opinion, and that would probably make him sound way more important, because it doesn't sound like they know how to make him very important as an NWA world champion. Silas Mason has lost a lot of steam, I thought, because like you, Jay, I thought that there was a time they were going to put the title on him, and but it just seemed to slow down, and he became part of the Southern Six, and that kind of ruined it for me in a way, even though he was the shining star of that team, and just kind of probably one of the really good reasons to watch the NWA, the only good reason for a while. But like you said, lots of ridiculous skits, etc., etc. But I do think that this is going to be a good match. Is Silas going to win? I would not be surprised, knowing Billy's intelligence and how he likes to do things. Just saying. He does like to do things out of nowhere sometimes, thinking that it's going to gain some shock. And sometimes it just doesn't work. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it went. Either way, I think it's going to be a great match.
Now, that's 77. That's happening this Saturday. Now, the segue to this last few minutes of the show is we know that 77 is right around the corner, and we know that it's going to be in Long Island. We know that Rick Del Santo will be the Alliance representative at the show, which we're proud to have. But tickets haven't been flying out the window. It's not a sold-out event, at least not yet. And I'm not sure if they will. I don't know what the walk-up is in Long Island. I don't, at the 2300 Arena, there were still tickets available the day of.
Yeah.
But that venue looks very much sold out when we got there.
Yeah, it looks. I was when I went online to buy my tickets this morning. I bought them.
Yeah.
It did not look like anywhere near sold out. It looks like there's a lot of floor seats left. There's a lot of seats left in the what do they call that thing? The balcony, as well. So, there'll probably be a lot of walk-up sales. I'm guessing it looks like it's a decent sized venue, maybe like a theater or something like that. That's the way the layout looks on the Ticketmaster site. So, go ahead.
I have a proposition for you.
Yes.
Now, you were going to the event, but if you were on the fence and you're like, I'm not sure if I want to go or not, if the NWA announced that Karrion Kross would in fact be at Hard Times, would that be a draw for you? Would that get you to say, you know what, I am going to buy a ticket? If Karrion Kross is going to be there, and I do know for a fact that Scarlett is already booked. She's going to be in Long Beach, California for a horror convention, so she will not be there. But if you could have Karrion Kross and say maybe they do some sort of screw job and do it today. We're sorry to report that Silas Mason will not be cleared to wrestle after an injury that was occurred at the training center. He won't be able to make this match. We've exhausted all our resources. We found the best replacement we can. Former WWE wrestler Killer Kross is going to be on our show. We're promoting it now, putting it out on social media, blasting it, putting it everywhere they can. Would that Rick, would that draw you into this show?
I am a huge Killer Kross fan. I've been a fan of his for a very long time. When he was in TNA, I was simply amazed at what this guy was doing. And when he got signed to NXT, I was extremely happy. And of course, at that time period, main roster, very disappointed at first. And they didn't really do much with him until recently, really. But I got to tell you that I would probably be first in line if that was announced, literally, if Killer Kross was coming in. Because I think that dude he's got still to this day, a bright, bright future. And I think he could be the game, I guess you could say, as far as being, especially if you put him in that position in the NWA.
And you think about it, none of us really genuinely know what's going on with his contract status.
Correct. Yeah.
If you believe what he said on the Ariel Helwani show, if I'm
could all be a work. Yeah.
He said, "I'm not answering this as a character. I'm answering this as myself." I mean, look. He could be without a contract right now. I don't think that's going to be a long term for him. I think if the WWE doesn't move on him, I'm sure TNA would be interested, even with the partnership with the WWE. And I don't feel like AEW would be a fit because of personnel that are currently working at AEW. But if they're telling Karrion Kross to go out and get himself over somewhere else, would the NWA be a safe place to do it, Jaden? What do you think?
Well, as long as Billy isn't booking, maybe. Killer Kross needs to take that bull by the horns in the booking also.
Mm-hmm.
I think without Scarlett, it is not the total package. So I think Scarlett should be with them. If she's not going to be there, then maybe they should put it off. And it's only because, not saying that they can't get over without each other and whatever like that, but right now, because they're both hot free agents and they are intrinsically, whatever word I'm trying to say, tied to each other intrinsically. Yeah. I'm going to say my language is starting to become like your Japanese, Jay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think because they're so tied together, I think that yes, there should be. And if they can't be there in person, maybe a promo, maybe a big screen on the Tron or whatever. They should have something. But it's right now, like I said, he's got buzz. People care about him, and this is a good time for if you're going to try to hit while these irons are hot. Try to make something for the NWA. I think this would be a good time to do it. So I don't necessarily think it should be the challenger of the title today. If they're going to do that, they should have been building it up with promos and stuff all along. But I think if he could be there, especially if Scarlett was there, or at least a promo or something, I think the NWA should take the chance and open up those pocketbooks. And Billy Corgan needs to let those Benjamins see some sunlight.
All right, now this is a genuine question for both of you before we wrap it up for the night. If you could get a commitment from Karrion Kross for like 4 dates or 3 dates or something where he'll be there more than once, would you be willing to put the NWA World's title on him with no heat going into 77?
No.
Okay.
I have the problem with the title on him, but not on the 77.
Okay, that's fair. What about you, Rick? What do you think?
I've always been one that likes the element of surprise in professional wrestling, and I think that would be rather exciting, and it'd make for a huge pop, and the fans would go home happy. So yeah, why not? If you have 4 dates, then obviously you have a plan for those 4 dates. You know what I'm saying? I think it would be. I'm going to go yes with that question.
And I know it's not a popular one, but I think I would too. And it's not because I don't love Tom Latimer. I think Tom is the guy. I think he should be the guy. But something like this, a disruption like this, the opportunity to have a guy who's getting chanted, his name is being chanted at SummerSlam when he lost.
It would get a lot of buzz. Sorry, Jay. It would get a lot of buzz, I think, if he won that belt by surprise. You know what I'm saying?
I think this is a Cahagas moment, which is why I don't think it is. I think if you're going to do it, have him show up, get something out of him showing up as a surprise, and then promote the fact that he gets a world title shot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate that idea either. I mean, Saul wins right around the corner. Karrion Kross, Killer Kross is still very a spooky kind of gimmick. Him and Scarlett could show up at Saul win. I mean, obviously, that date, yeah, we know that Saul win is just around the corner. I believe that is October 17th. So that's probably going to be the next event for them. So I'm not saying any of this is going to happen. I have no inside information, but the idea came across during the day, just had that thought, and well, that would be interesting. If he showed up, I would not have him just show up. I would be announcing it as soon as the deal is agreed upon. Oh, Karrion Kross is coming to the NWA. I'd be talking about it right now to get every single ticket sold that I could leading up to Saturday night. And that him being at the event doesn't even need to put him in a title match or any match. Just him being there, I think, would be enough to get people looking at the product. Although if I was booking the NWA, I probably would put the title on him. That's just my opinion. Right. But gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time. Of course, we have succeeded the 2-hour time limit. But I think we had some great NWA talk, and I hope we can do this again next week. I'm sure we'll be having a lot to talk about with the 77 fallout. There's also going to be a television taping in September. So who knows, maybe we'll have some cool stuff to talk about after this weekend. Rick, what do you have on the line for Pro Wrestling Wire? What's up next?
This weekend I'll be talking to Richard Sartain, one half the infamous Ding Dongs, the worst gimmick in professional wrestling. Also, one half of the Rock and Roll Rebels from Deep South Wrestling. So, very short career, but hell of a guy. And I'll be talking to him this weekend, and you'll probably see that Monday or Tuesday drop. Right now, I don't. Oh, wait, and we're doing another special NWA related episode for a retro episode. We'll be talking about, if you all remember, a very famous sitcom, and I'm sure Jaden remembers this one. We're going to be doing an episode where we sit down and talk about learning the ropes.
I love that show.
So,
yeah.
me too. So that came up as an idea, and nobody wanted to do it, but I finally found someone to sit down and watch it and do a review of it. So,
Lyle Azedo, man, let's go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see that interview with Zartan. I'll be listening to it with bells on.
Ding dong. I got it.
I got nothing. It's not his fault, man.
Hey, Jaden, do we have anything to plug before we say goodnight?
Yeah, instead of October 9th, the dog event at Rowan College of Montana County has now been moved to October 2nd because allegedly there's going to be some kind of political thing coming in the state of New Jersey on the 9th, and they didn't want to cause any somebody protesting during that time. So the dog event, we still got one coming up on the 30th, which is this month. In a couple weeks, we have one coming up that's exclusively to Rowan University. By the way, we have Rowan College of Bronson County. There is the 18th, which is the dog event at the Sacred Heart Church, apparently the day after the Samhain. And that's pretty much it. And there's I forget the date, but some September sometime. It's the dog champion Vinny the Fixture will be defending at Mawa.
Beautiful. Well, I can't wait to see those matches and more. Stay tuned to the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiator YouTube page and the Pro Wrestling Wire YouTube page. Both of those are linked on our co-conspirator site of the Alliance Blog YouTube page. Scroll down and you'll see all our friends and alliances that are on that board as well. That's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this Thursday evening. I hope you enjoyed the content, and if not, well, try again next week. It might be better. But until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.